like the US, we had our kind of our external propaganda, which is great for like attracting immigration. Because I feel like part of like US strategy is that we want to basically like innervate the rest of the world. We want to take the most ambitious people from the rest of the world. We want to take the wealthiest people from the rest of the world. And then we want to move them and their families and their bloodlines into the US. And then they're part of the American gene pool. And then we leave only the people that didn't move to the US already. So like all the places that we recruit from slowly have less ambitious people because we're constantly poaching. And then kind of like parallel to that,
it's the brain
like
drain.
Total brain drain. It's like it's brain drain as like it's as a national strategy, but we present it as this positive propaganda piece when it's incredibly aggressive.
Yeah, like there's even a, Spanish humor is very self-deprecating, and there is a Spanish very bad comedy movie called Brain Drain.
Yeah,
and it's about these idiots who like village idiots who fall in love with a girl and then fake their way, and they don't go to America. I think they go to England, but like they fake their diploma or something, and they go to Oxford to follow this girl, and they're like super stupid, and they just like stupid shenanigans happen all the time. But it's very typical. Like the concept is very deeply ingrained in European culture that if you're successful, you go to America.
but there's something really the government don't treat that as like an existential assault on their demographics. That's why I don't understand why Europe trusts the US so much. Like we're like poaching their best people like very aggressively. It's and yet like Europe like has like generally positive feelings towards the US. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I mean it's a complicated relationship, really, because the US is it's also a guarantee of stability in the West in general, right? So like that's the price you pay. This is all happened after World War II, when Europe completely lost its strategic autonomy.
Totally.
Because it was Germany. West Germany was an occupied country completely by the US, and it was like until the 90s.
Yeah, and it's like, but it's interesting because like the U.S. paying right now, which I generally agree with, is that like is that the U.S. is paying all this money for kind of like quote unquote defense, but it's enabling European social welfare through taxes on Americans by making so Americans don't need to pay for defense. Like true. At the same time, though, it's like we're also like kind of using that position to poach Europeans. So it's like Europe, as we're talking about, I haven't talked about this now, but it feels like Europe is sacrificing the next 1,000 years of its civilization for like 50 years of a Pax Americana, because we're poaching people and families, and they're getting a temporary security guarantee that can be like removed over a weekend.
Yeah.
It's terrible trade.
I mean, governments are not necessarily very keen on, on long-term planning. Like not to that long term. Like the Chinese Communist Party, for instance, they don't have to care about elections. They don't care about anything like that. Yep. So they can afford to plan 20, 30 years ahead. But Germany does not in that sense. Nor does the US, really.
Right. So I guess it's like, this might be a terrible example, but I'd argue that so it's like China's lockdown policy was like devastating for China, but because it's communist and because everyone there's already used to it, it's not that damaging for China. But like lockdown is like insanely destabilizing for like Western countries. Like Western countries can't really survive lockdown. Like the economies can't survive it. It doesn't fit with the culture. It's devastating. So like China exporting lockdown policy, it does hurt them, but it hurts everyone else more. Like I wonder if like the American system, it's completely unable to plan more than like 8 hours ahead of time. But because we're in a position in North America, because we have so much power, because we have so many resources, because we're constantly raiding the rest of the world for talent, we have the ability to kind of like survive that level of incompetent planning. But then we
Yeah, I
export
mean,
our system,
I
and
think a great.
does that take it?
Oh, sorry, what was that?
Oh, like it's like our exported system seems to like devastate the countries that adopt it.
Culturally, in a sense, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like, you know, I think the strength of them. This is going to be sunny, to sound very funny because it sounds like a woke slogan, but
Mhm.
really, diversity in America is a strength. Not in the sense of like the diversity people who say these kind of things are thinking about, but in the sense that it's very difficult to deal critical damage to the United States
Mhm.
because it's so different and so it's like an amalgamation of different things and different cultures and different structures that it's very difficult to find a critical point where you can hit and completely destroy the thing.